This episode is in collaboration with Endurance Mind Coaching, the team behind the Unbreakable Athlete Programme, designed to help runners train their minds while they train their bodies for peak performance. Led by elite sports psychologist, Stu Holliday, who is an experience working with Olympic, Paralympic and Premiership sport. This personalised training programme gives you the tools to build a flexible mindset, strengthen mental toughness, deliver under pressure and whatever your distance or pace is. So if you're chasing a new PB, wrestling with pre-race nerves, or working on mentally dealing with or pushing through when things get tough, the Unbreakable Athlete is built for those who to give you maximum confidence and consistency, even when you're reading out scripts. Get in touch on Instagram at Endurance Mind Coaching.
Now on to the interview of the episode. We have the Chorlton Runner. She has PBs of 17:04 for the 5k, 35:48 for 10k, 82:51 for the half marathon and 2:58:49 for the marathon. Please welcome Katherine Fitzpatrick. Welcome, Katherine. So you started running at a young age, we believe around 8 or 9 with your dad. So can you share some of your earliest memories of running and what was that initial spark like?
Yeah, I just remember we moved house when I was about 8 years old. And the house we moved to, I think at this point I wasn't a runner, I just did a lot of sport, because I remember going to school and being asked by 2 teachers on my first day at the school, "Are you a runner, Katherine?" Why? And commenting that I looked like a runner, I had runner's legs, but I wasn't a runner anyway. The teacher said, "Well, I do the cross-country club, you should come to the cross-country club." So I remember going to that, enjoying it. And then the house where we lived, you literally crossed the road, you went for a little path between the 2 houses opposite and you were straight into the woods. It was just lovely. You know, the previous house we'd lived in hadn't been anything like that. So I was going to the cross-country club at school, and then my dad was taking me running, and it was great. And very soon, like probably by the time I was 9-10 years old, obviously like times were different then, I feel like I was doing that run on my own from quite a young age. I was only out for 20 minutes or so. So obviously I loved it. I loved the independence. I loved the clothes I wore for running and things. And I just remember loving it from being, that kind of age.
So was your dad a runner then?
He wasn't a runner, but he played a lot of squash.
Right.
Like my mum and dad met at the squash club, and I think they were playing a lot of squash at that point, keeping themselves fit. So he was coming running with me for a few years, and then probably by the time I was 11, 12, he couldn't keep up anymore. But I had my younger sister, so she was running with me. That's what I remember from being young and running.
Okay, brilliant. And then you joined Hallamshire Harriers, is that right? And you trained a bit more consistently then with them. So how did your kind of structured club environment shape your foundational years as a runner?
Yeah, I just think before that point, I was just going for a run, a couple of times a week maybe. I'd probably not even heard of interval training. My parents probably weren't aware of interval training, but my mum's a teacher, and it was a lad in her school, I can't remember his surname, called Martin, and he was like the fastest guy over 1500 in Sheffield and in South Yorkshire. So I know my mum spoke to this guy, found out where he trained. He was part of Hallamshire Harriers, and that's why we went down. Right. So from just going for the odd run, I was suddenly doing structured training, and I think at that point it was probably just twice a week, a Tuesday and a Thursday, but obviously doing the interval training and then being introduced to the cross-country races and the track races with the club, my running just got better from there.
And how long did you stay at Hallamshire for then?
Until I went to university. So until I was 18, I was with Hallamshire Harriers, then came to Manchester for university, and I probably would have gone back in the summer, so it's probably until I was 21 actually I was still involved with Hallamshire Harriers, and then I permanently moved to Manchester. And I wouldn't have gone back after that. Yeah.
Okay, so then you graduated from uni in 2008, is that right? Yeah. And you ran independently for a long time then before joining Chorlton in 2022. Yes. So what prompted that decision to finally join a club again after kind of running independently for so long?
Yeah, I think it's something I'd wanted to do for ages. I don't know why I didn't. It was probably just a lack of confidence. For years I'd thought I should join, but with my job being a personal trainer, a lot of my evenings I was working in a gym at first at David Lloyd, and I was there every night. Right. So my chances for running, I was free in the afternoons. I'd work early mornings, I'd have quite quiet afternoons when I'd train, and then I'd start working again in the evening. I remember thinking about joining Chorlton. It must have been in about 2012, and at that point it was like a booking system. You had to either you had to be on a waiting list, or if you were a certain calibre you had a chance of getting in. And I think I did email them, and I think they said I could come along, but it was something like a Tuesday night that didn't work for me. I was working, or a Friday night, and at that point I was, however old I was, on a Friday night I didn't want to be at track, put it that way. There were other places I wanted to be, and I just sort of never got round to it. And then I had children, so then, I took those years out, and it was, my partner had always encouraged me, like, you should join a club. So my clients had said, you're keeping yourself fit, what's it for? You're not entering any races. And I was like, oh, I know I should. And then finally, one of my friends, Gareth, was doing some training with Chorlton on a Tuesday night, and I just got it in my head one week, right, I'm going this week. And I did it, and I've never looked back since that first session. I've never missed a session if I'm physically able to. If I'm in Manchester, I go on a Tuesday night. Never looked back since.
Brilliant. And you've mentioned, when we asked you about your running, that you've made a massive improvement since joining Chorlton. So what do you think it is about being part of the club that you kind of feel that has most contributed kind of to that improvement?
Yeah, I think firstly the structure and the variety of the sessions, because even though, I'm a personal trainer and I was into my running, I was probably quite naive, and the sessions I was doing were predominantly on a treadmill. I'd probably do the same sessions over and over again, so I lost that variety. And ultimately, you think you push yourself. We all think this. When you're on your own, you think you're pushing yourself, and you don't realise until you put in a group with other people,
like your
competitive nature, how much more you can
Absolutely.
give. Yes, I think that's just made a huge difference. And I'm lucky, there's a girl in the club Amy, you've met her, that we have got good battles against each other, but I think it's been brilliant because we've both brought out the best in each other, because we have to, because we both want to beat each other. So it definitely helps.
Brilliant.
Sorry, I'm going to say, you mentioned Amy, and there's a really good picture. We mentioned it before at the park. We've spotted it, that when you sent that picture through, so it's really good. Whereabouts is that in the race? Because you were very close.
So that will be just coming down from the tower. So what would you say, Dave?
I think it's
early on.
It's in the second mile, I'd say.
Yeah, mile and a half or so into the race.
But you've done quite a tough climb. But just for the listeners who may or may not have seen that photo, it was Katherine and Amy battling for first place in the recent Lyme Park 10k. And how did it pan out?
I did win in the end.
You did win? It's a great picture.
We'll use that on the episode.
And it's nice to have somebody into at the club, like you say, though, who pushes you. That
I think when Amy came on, she mentioned
how
how you push each other along.
Yeah. And you said that one of your highlights of returning to club running was rediscovering cross country. So, and you hadn't done that, you said, for kind of a long time since you kind of teens. So, again, what was it about cross country that made you fall in love kind of with it all over again? Sean's shaking his head to understand it.
That word love and cross country in the same sentence.
I feel like cross country running is just like running in its rawest form, isn't it? But I just love it, because I think sometimes with road races, particularly when you are running well as well and you're chasing times, and it just, we'll probably come on to this more later, but the pressure sometimes becomes so much that it becomes not enjoyable. Whereas in a cross-country race, the time is completely irrelevant. So I love that. I never look at my watch in a cross-country race. It's tactical. I love again that men and women are separate, because a lot of the times, in races, I've no idea. It's hard to be tactical as a woman because you don't know where the other women are in the race. So the men and women are separate. You know exactly where you are relative to the rest of the pack, so you can play it tactically. It adds different elements. I love the hills, I love the mud. And again, with men and women running separately, I love the fact that, women go first. I love that. We get ours out of the way. But the men can support us. Again, you don't normally get that, where your own teammates can support you when they're then running, and then we can then watch the men run. So it's just like the whole event of it, and the fact that there's like the team 10. Again, you don't get that at road races where everybody's in the same place. You've sort of got the banter and camaraderie before and after. So I enjoy the whole day with cross country. It feels like a real nice event.
Yeah, me and Dave nodding away.
Nod.
And for all the reasons you've said as well, I love it for the whole team coming together. And again, that last kind of less pressure. Like you say, no one says, oh, what time are you going for today? Because it depends on the weather, it depends the conditions, everything, doesn't it? It's just nice and relaxed.
Just scrolling through the questions, Kat. I can't see any questions as to what your favourite cross country course. So I'm going to add it in now. What is your favourite cross country course?
I liked, and I forgot the name of it. It was the first time I'd done it. The one in Stockport that was the last one.
Woodbank Park.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
No surprise.
I like that one.
It's got the hill, it's got the mud. You'd like got nice views and stuff. I also really like Heaton Park. Heaton Park is probably one of my favourites as well.
Sean,
the hillier, the better, really.
Even the park runs are horrendous.
Oh, brilliant. Well, that's all my questions, so I'm going to hand over to Dave. Thanks.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, welcome, Kat. It's great to have you on. Obviously, we've known each other for quite a long time. So, your PBs are incredibly impressive. We ran through them in the introduction, but I'll just repeat them again. 17:04 for 5k, 35:48 for 10k, 82:51 for the half marathon, and 2:58:49 for the marathon. So, which of these PBs are you most proud of, and why?
Okay. I've kind of got two answers here, because if I look at those times, I feel like the best performance that I've ever done was that 10k. I feel like that's where I excel myself. Everything went right on the day, and I ran, I think, the best I could have ever run, and I'm probably content if I never ever go faster again. I feel like everything was perfect that day. I did myself proud.
Where did you do that 10k time, sorry?
Trafford. However, was the question, sorry, which am I most proud?
Yes.
Yeah, so that fell into the training blog. When I did that 10k time, I was in my 12 weeks of intense I want a sub 3 at Manchester Marathon.
Yeah.
And I think I'm most proud of that one because I dedicated so much energy and time to that. Like I just transformed my life for 12 weeks. I was so focused on that. So going sub 3 was like everything I've ever wanted. I mean, I'm happy that I went sub 36 at 10k, but if I hadn't have done it, would I have really been bothered? No, probably not. Whereas I was desperate. As a runner, I could have not retired from running it, having not gone sub 3, because it was something I wanted so badly and felt that I could achieve if I really put my mind to it. So yeah, the marathon I'm most proud of.
Yeah, and I think I remember that 10k. Am I right in thinking somebody from your club literally ran with you the whole way?
Yeah, so there's a bit of a funny story about this 10k and how it came about. So, I mean, I was in my Manchester training block. My focus was the marathon. I'd done the Daffodil 10k at the end of January and come out with a far faster time than I imagined there, I think, which was 36:39 on a windy day and not the fastest course. So I was like, okay, so I feel like there's more in the tank. So I rocked up to Trafford thinking, I could go sub 36:30, like that's realistic, I think I can do that. Anyway, it was sort of 10 minutes before the start of the race. Ben came over. Like at this point, I was just ready to run my race. You're all right. Yeah, Ben Hobson. Yeah, what you thinking? So I sort of mentioned, and he went, oh, well, do you want me to pace you? I'm not fit at the minute, so I'll pace you. I was like, yeah. He went, should we go for sub 36 minutes? So, and then I just literally went, yeah. I was like, I'm not really bothered. I was like, if I blow up, and I think I literally said it out loud, if I blow up, I blow up. I'm not, I'm here to do my sub 3 marathon. The 10k doesn't really matter. And then that was that. He did a perfect job of pacing me to a sub 36 minute 10k.
Brilliant.
So yeah, that's how that came about.
Can I book him in?
When did you do the sub 3? Sorry, can I just ask
So that would have been the April, it was last year, 2024. Right. So this was sort of a month or so, 5 weeks out from the marathon when I did the 10k.
That Manchester as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I've got another question. What was your time before that for the marathon? Because were you very close to sub 3 or?
Well, not really. I think the fastest I'd ever done was a 3:03 something, but that was when the course was short.
Right, okay.
So, and like I said to Dave, when they extrapolated your time up, they only put it to 26.2 or something, whereas the reality is we all know you never quite run. You then need to add another 2 minutes on top of that for how you weave around a course. So probably realistically, I was at a 3:07. 3:08 or something like that. And I'd had 2 serious attempts of trying to go sub 3, that both went catastrophically wrong, like to the point of like doing 9:30 miling from sort of 22 miles onwards, almost crying to the finish line, and in my attempts to do it. Yeah.
Do you want to delve a bit deeper into that?
Tell us a bit more.
Okay.
Tell us a bit
So
more.
what were your two? So you said you had 2 attempts. Then what were the attempts? Where was it? Both at Manchester.
Yes,
Right.
both at Manchester. Shall I just?
Yeah,
carry
and
on?
was it like something that went particularly wrong, and then what did you kind of learn and take into that?
So the first time, I think it was the following year that I'd done that 3:03, which at this point I wouldn't have known that distance was short officially. It hadn't come out yet, had it? So I was thinking, okay, I was pretty close. So the following year, but naively, I was just saying, oh, I'd like to run a sub 3, but I wasn't doing I was never training at race pace. It was just like I'd thrown this idea out like I was going to do it. So I was going out for long runs, but I don't even know if I had a GPS watch at that point. I wasn't like tracking paces. So yeah, the following year when I did it, and I think I wasn't fueling my body properly either. I remember getting to 3 miles and my mate was with me, we were with the pacer, and I went, oh, is he not going a bit fast? And my mate was like, no, he's bang on. And I remember thinking, like, oh, I'm in trouble here. Like, I'm struggling at 3 miles. And I saw my family at Altrincham, so the halfway point, and I just remember like running over to the side of the road, bursting into tears, going, I can't do it. Got to about 14, decided I'm out, I really can't do this. Started walking back to Altrincham. Probably walked about, 50, 60 metres, then went, oh, just get on with it, you idiot, and then turned back round and carried on. And I think I finished in like a 3:15 or something, but I was devastated. But the one time where I had another serious crack at it would have been 2022 maybe. It was horrific. So I was with the pacer. I was wanting to do sub 3, but again, I'd only trained on my own. I'd probably not put in enough miles at the right pace. I remember getting to 13 miles and thinking, I'm feeling really tired here. This isn't good. And then it almost happened like that. I mean, by the time I was at 14 miles, the pacers had gone into the distance. Yeah. My sister was with them. You know, you're just seeing everybody disappear, and there was nothing I could do about it. And I was in such a bad way. I didn't stop, but I just remember like almost my vision going. I felt like I was all over the place, and my family said I ran past them at Stretford, which was 22, 23 miles at that point, and he said I just looked like a ghost. I was grey. I couldn't even acknowledge them. I remember seeing them, and I remember my watch buzzing a 9:40 or 9:30 mile or something, just thinking this is hopeless. But I never stopped. Until I got to the finish line, and then I was in the right state. I couldn't get myself from the finish line to the tram stop, and my poor sister, who'd just run a 2:55 marathon, more or less had to carry me to the tram stop to get me back to my family in Stretford. It was just awful. So then, following on from that, I said, if I'm going to do this, I need some help. I need somebody to write me a plan, and hence that's where James Moles came in, which I think is one of the questions a bit later on.
It sounds like you were determined, though. That,
yeah.
Like, say you went into that 10K, you weren't even really bothered about the 10K.
Yeah.
You were literally just, everything was into that marathon.
I think it's because I felt like I knew I could do it if I got the training right. I felt like it was within my capabilities. Yeah. So, yeah, I really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've got a sub-3 marathon to your name. Do you think you'll look to do any of the majors, London or Berlin, perhaps?
Possibly. It's not something I'm desperate to do, and I think at the minute still, I probably will run more marathons, and initially I'd like to think I can do one and maybe try and go a bit faster. So I probably wouldn't be so bothered of, going to some of the majors like that. I feel like in the future, like my sister's run London and said, it's amazing. But she said, go and do it when you're not bothered about the time. Just go to London and run the marathon and take it all in. So I think certainly as I get older and maybe a bit less competitive, I might look to do things like that. But I think for now, particularly with how I get with my nerves and things, I think if I'm racing a marathon, I need to make my life as simple as possible and have it, close to my house at 10 minutes. Because again, what happened after that marathon that went wrong, it frightened me because I couldn't even get myself to a tram stop. So I thought, if I'm in London, how on earth I wouldn't have been able to get myself home. I just couldn't move. So I think I just want to keep life simple and stick with Manchester until I'm less competitive with them.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, so you've already touched on this quite a bit, and it's a really important topic that you wanted to discuss tonight, and that's your race anxiety and pressure. So you've mentioned it's getting progressively worse as your performances improve. So can you describe how this anxiety manifests itself for you before and during a race?
Yeah, sometimes I don't know where the pressure comes from. I think mainly it is from myself, but I definitely do feel pressure from people in the club, and if people are very well meaning, but I think sometimes I feel pressure if I turn up and people might go, oh another record today you're gonna get, and I think I just get so worked up about what people expect me to do that I just stress myself out before races. So it can happen weeks before. I mean, when I did the Manchester Marathon, I only got a late entry actually because I managed to get a place through the club. So I found out in something like the 27th of December that I'd got the place for the April. And that night I didn't sleep because it's just like my anxiety again. I was like, what have I done? Like, why are you doing this to yourself? Last time you did it, everything went wrong, and you've done this again now. Why have you done it? And again, with races, I think what I'm scared of is we all know when you're running PBs, you can't run PBs without putting your body through pain. You can't do it. No. You can't just turn up and run a faster time and it be easy. So I think I get myself so worked up about how much pain I'm going to be in that I just completely stressed myself out before the races even started.
Yeah. Is it worse for road or cross country, or is it just races in general? Definitely worse for road, and maybe that's another reason why I enjoy cross country more, because it's definitely probably to do with the time pressure. Even though I should feel under pressure maybe to finish in a good position with cross country, but I think when I know I'm chasing a time and I know how much effort goes into getting that time, I just get myself really worked up. And I think sometimes the shorter the race, the worse. Like I think for 5Ks, that's the worst anxiety I feel in the run up to 5Ks. You often hear people shouting encouragement, every second counts. It's sometimes not a helpful thing to hear. Yeah.
You ever try and so I suffer from that a bit, and then sometimes when I'm actually in the race and it's happening, I think this isn't that bad. It's not as bad. It's bad. It always is. Yeah. It's not as bad as what you always build it up to be worse. And sometimes I think doing that when you're in the moment, thinking this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, it helps. Yeah. Because you think back to that moment next time. Yeah. So if you've not tried that, try doing it. I know your thinking tunnel's very narrow when you're racing. Yeah. So take a moment to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else around the table ever experienced that?
I've mentioned it a couple of times. Up until this year, I've really struggled with getting to a race, and I'll be on the start line and I'll be shaking, I'll be really nervous. But then I've kind of taken the pressure off by going, I'm going to do my best. Do you know, because you get so many external people looking in going, oh, you need to do this and you need to do this time. I've put a bit of pressure on myself this year with this, getting as close to 17 as I can for 5K. And then I did the 5K, and then got bang on the same as my PB, the same for the 10K. And then in my mind I'm going, am I actually going to beat that time? Am I just going to constantly hit it to the second? Yeah. But it's kind of, I've put loads of effort in. What will be, really. I think that's probably the worst it's been for me.
Yeah. I think sometimes, like you said as well, the better you get, you feel more pressure from others then, don't you? Because I definitely noticed that sometimes I think, I'm just going to go today, and I'm not that competitive. I think, I'll just go and see what happens. But then, say when people are like, what's your PB? And you go, you're running well at the minute, so you should, and then you're like, oh God. Now, they expect me to do well, and if you don't, then they're kind of like, oh, did you not have a
I feel like that, or people will think, she lost her edge, or what, which they probably won't, but that's probably just me thinking that people think like that, but I feel under pressure, because I do feel at some point it will end, I'm having a good run, and you just want to prove that I'm not there yet, I'm still in the good bit, I'm still fit at the minute, it's hard.
I think it's hard, for yourself as well, because you're obviously a good runner, so cross country, and you're up there, aren't you? So you're at the front of the field, so people recognise you, so they expect you. There's kind of that expectation in there for you to be there as well.
And as well, that you mentioned then, you have people saying, you're running well at the moment, and then you automatically think, well, I've got to perform now then.
Yeah.
So I had someone say that to me recently, oh, you've been running well recently. And I'm like, oh, the pressure's kind of on, but...
Just remember that, Dave. We'll say you're running shit at the minute.
But yeah, I feel bad because obviously they mean it in the nicest possible way. Because I remember one run turning up. It was the Salford 10K a couple of years ago, and I think I was new to the club, so at that point I must have only done the cross country. That could have been the only way people would have known who I was. And I think Amy had put out a reasonable time at a 10K a few weeks previously, and I was so nervous. I'd more or less had a complete emotional breakdown before I'd even turned up at the race. Anyway, got myself there. Luckily, I'm always better when I see someone from my club that I can just talk to, and it just distracts me. So I sort of mentioned to him my nerves, and I don't want to talk about times or anything like that. And then we sort of met somebody else who immediately, almost the first, I think it was the first thing, like, oh, we going for the club record, and I just sort of went, and I think he went to her like, just don't mention it. And then I ran well, and it was all fine. And then it seems ridiculous because it's almost like, of course, it's like a toddler when they cause a drama over saying they don't want to go to somewhere, and then they go and have a good time, and like I'll create a massive drama at home, be crying and having a panic attack about a race, and then I'll go home, my partner's like, how do you do? I'm like, went well,
really
yeah.
well.
So I will see.
And the reality is, again, even if it doesn't go that well, people don't remember, do they? It's not like, oh, she was really rubbish. Like,
and I think people understand everyone has an off day.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that you're not running well. It's just one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, it happens to like elites, doesn't it? You see it at the top level of the sport, where you see Inga Britson or Kipchoge have a off day, but it doesn't make you think any less of them, do you? Because you just know, next
time they'll come back. Definitely.
That's just it.
Yeah, we do get in our own head, don't we? Definitely.
Yeah. And that's where it all comes from, doesn't it? Like you said, people from the outside, they want you to do well, but no one's really going to judge you on your performance, are they? It's all you thinking, what will they think?
Absolutely.
I think sometimes it's hard within runners understand what it takes to. I think sometimes it's hard from people who don't run necessarily, because people are very like, oh, it must be really hard for you, running it in, it's all over in 17 minutes. Think about me, it takes 35. And I understand, but they're not understanding what goes into, or the pain that you're going through and the pressure of all those things. So I think sometimes it is just a lack of understanding from people who don't run, because I've certainly had that, when I've spoken to friends who aren't runners. But I just need to, it's just people not understanding. That's not their fault.
And I've noticed you're not on a Strava, Kat. Is that anything to do with this anxiety at all?
Nothing to do with that. It's more, I think I mentioned it to these guys before, I'm not good with technology. I mean, this watch probably does a lot more things than I use it for. I do use paces just now, but more or less I stop, and that's as far as it goes. Yeah. I still do my accounts on pen and paper. That's just my personality.
I won't get nervous at all if I wasn't on Strava.
So I'm not worried, I'm not on Strava because I don't want people to see my times. It's literally just it's just not on my radar. It's just not something that I do.
No, it's very refreshing. Richard Johnson was another guest who comes to memory who said, I'm just not on there, but his reasosoning was that I think he gave the quote, comparison is the thief of joy.
Okay,
He didn't like to look at other people's training. He didn't see that there was any benefit in him looking at other people's training, and vice versa.
Joe Stewart as well.
Joe Stewart, he was another one.
And even got a Garmin, apparently.
No.
Okay, so going back to your anxiety, Kat, it sounds like it can sometimes take over your life and affect your personal life. So what does that look like day to day, and how do you try to manage its broader impact?
I think the way it affects at home is just in the same way if you had a stressful job and you bring it home, how people say it sort of bleeds into your home life. I'm just not happy when I'm stressed about a race, and if I'm not happy, it's not fair on my partner, it's not fair on the kids, but I just get myself worked up, so I'm not a fun person to be around. And then we could go out, for fun days out, but I'm not enjoying myself because I'm worried about the race that's on, and it isn't fair. And then in terms of sort of like the nights before races and things, sometimes I just don't sleep, and if I don't sleep, sometimes Jim can't sleep because I'm up and down out of bed because I'm stressed, and then it's keeping him awake because I'm not sleeping. So it's mainly just like my personality, my moods, and then you're just not nice to be around when you're stressed, are you, generally? So that's how it sort of bleeds into my life. But when I'd sort of mentioned to my partner about doing another marathon, and he said, like, no, you can't. Not if you're how you were last time. It's like, we can't do that again. And another thing, like the Welsh castles, I've not done them for a few years because we always go away on holiday the week before the Welsh castles. And again, it's for that reason. I wouldn't enjoy my holiday knowing that I've got a race at the end, but actually it wouldn't be fair to the kids and my partner, because I wouldn't be a fun person on holiday if I had a race that weekend, which is ridiculous, but it will play on my mind and I won't enjoy myself.
Has it got worse over time, did you say?
Yeah, I think because I have got faster and I feel like I'm putting higher expectations on myself, it's definitely got worse.
So you've described running as your happy place that brings joy, but also significant
Doesn't
stress.
sound like it,
That brings joy, but also significant stress due to competition. So how do you reconcile these two conflicting feelings about something you love so much?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately I don't brilliantly. I admit that I do need help with that side of it because I don't manage it well. And I have ways that I try to manage it. So I know before races, if I'm in the car, I always listen to music on the way, really loud music that I can sing to, because for me that just helps. It sort of must let some energy out, probably some nervous energy. I'm always better if someone else from my club is there. So I'll often try and share lifts to races or meet people before, because again, I think it's just chatting to someone and being a bit distracted. But yeah, it's straight. But then racing aside, I get so much joy from training. And it's weird because I push myself at training. I'll push myself till I feel like I'm about to collapse and die at training, but I wouldn't lose any sleep on a Friday night before a Saturday morning turn Moss. So it's not what's happening. It must just be the pressure. I know I could drop out of turn Moss if I wanted to. Will I ever do that? No, I'll never do it. But knowing that I could, if I wanted to, just stop. Whereas in a race, I could just stop, but then everyone would judge me. I feel like that's the difference. Yeah.
Okay, right, well that's all my questions, Kat, so I'm now going to hand over to Sean.
Yeah, just wanted to finish off on that point really, because you mentioned that it has been so bad at times that you could stop competing.
Yeah.
So have you tried different things to try and combat it? Have you tried different tools and techniques for getting over anxiety, like whatever that might be, whether it's thinking, okay, I'm going to chunk the race up into sections, or I'm going to sort of do something like not post the results, or whatever it might be. Have you tried anything different?
Not hugely. I mean, it's just like you said, knowing and reminding myself more after the races. Yeah. Like, look, I did it. It was fine, and you actually enjoyed it looking back. But I don't know really what the answer is.
On this episode, we have different collaborators, and we're partnered up on this episode with Stu Holliday, who's a sports psychologist who I've used.
Yeah.
And Callum and Kate have also done a bit of work with them as well, which was useful. And what they, it could be Stu, it could be anybody, but what they do is just help give you different techniques, for overcoming it and taking the pressure off yourself. Definitely worth looking at. I think I get nervous before a 5k more than a marathon, because I know there's no doubt about it, 5k is going to hurt, and as soon as you start your watch, you're in the locker, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's where you're staying.
Yeah.
Whereas in a marathon, if it goes well, it's not.
You'll have a few miles at least that are enjoyable.
The first 18 miles will be okay.
Yeah.
So it's something I've looked at in the past, and might be worth looking at, trying different tools and techniques.
Have you ever thought of that, like professional input or
no, I haven't. I mean, I acknowledge that something needs to change, because I mean, the things I do is like I'm always really early for races, and again sometimes I think, why do I do that? Because then I'm just there being nervous. But actually for me, if I was in the car stressing that I might be late, that'd be one more stress on top of the stress that I'm already feeling, and that would just be too much for me. So things like being super early, I'll always do things like that just to try and give myself the best chance.
Practical things.
Because I always need to do a recce of the course as well. I could, even at Lyme Park, obviously it's a 10k loop, I can't do the whole loop, but I had to go out and I just have to do it. I couldn't turn up and have no idea where I'm running. That would be too stressful for me. and like meeting club mates, I'm always more relaxed. Like that Lime Park run, Amy was late actually, and I was just desperate for her to be there because I was feeling so nervous, which is strange because she's someone that would be a competitor to me. So some ways I should be more grateful if she doesn't come. But while I was doing my warm up, I was just like looking out for like, where is she? Because I couldn't see anyone else from my club. So then I was getting myself a bit worked up and in my own head. As soon as I saw Amy, like we're together, we're stood on the start line, we're chatting, and then I feel a bit better then, like someone's here that I know. So yeah, I think being with other people definitely helps, and doing everything I can to make sure I'm in the right place with plenty of time. But something needs to change because it's not normal how I think sometimes how I behave before, like crying before races or not sleeping, and it isn't normal behaviour.
No, and at the end of the day, it's a hobby, isn't it?
Yeah. Enjoyable. Well, that's where that psychological input can come from, isn't it? Like I say, it sounds like you're doing all the practical things you can try to do, like get there early, have support of club mates and stuff, but it sounds like you might benefit from kind of really understanding what is it that's going through your mind at that time, you know, before a race, and learning some techniques like Sean said around kind of, you know, like visualisation and just learning to, you know, chunk things up and things like that.
Even things like in your training runs, like when you're doing a session, you can practice it. You know, because you know sessions hurt as well, don't they? So you can practice visualisation of being in the race and thinking, well, this is what it's going to feel like, so I'll get used to it. And you almost know then, don't you, before the race starts, just that's the feeling I'm going to get, and I'm good at it. You know what I mean? Because you are good at it.
I think sometimes as well it's scary, the thought of going there as well, isn't it? Because it almost becomes a bit of a safety behaviour. This is what we've always done, so well, I know it's not working for me, but we'll just carry on doing it. And it's quite scary, the thought of kind of delving into what's going through my mind and what is it that's causing me all this anxiety. But I think if you do that kind of psychological input can be quite powerful.
We should say in the small print, none of us know what we're talking about. These are all personal things we've tried.
We're not professional in this, are we?
But I do often wonder, like, I think, how on earth do professional athletes cope with that? Like,
that level of pressure.
If a country of people are watching and your job and your sponsorship is riding on it, that's what I always think I'm getting worked up about. A little local 10k race. I cannot even imagine how, but they must have ways of dealing with it, because otherwise they wouldn't be there competing.
Well, they do have like sports psychology input, don't they? They have the whole shebang, they have the whole package. So they probably do have all that anxiety as well, but they've just learned to deal with it, haven't they, I guess?
Yeah.
Let's talk about something more positive.
It's interesting though, and it's nice for you to kind of open up about it, because I think it's something that probably does affect and impact on more people.
I definitely know a lot of runners who it affects in various degrees. But,
and you don't realise, do you? Like, I've seen you at cross country, and you know, you just come across as a great, really confident runner. You don't understand what people go through, so it's nice to share it so that other people, you know, realise they're not.
Well, definitely the people listening who can relate to this, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. But on to other matters.
Moving on.
There are some things to enjoy in running for those listening for the first time. So you mentioned how important joining a club is to you, and feeling you get of being part of something. And for you, especially since having your kids, and then you've got your identity back through the running club. So just elaborate a bit more for us on how running for your club provides that sense of identity and personal space for you.
Yeah, I feel for me that running's just... I feel like if I was to describe who I was as a person, I'd have to say running almost before anything else. Which somebody else brought up at the weekend, actually. Just feeling like running is so intrinsically part of who you are as a person. But since I've had children particularly, I've never, like when I was pregnant, I remember people saying like, oh, you're going to get one of those running buggies, and I was like, no. It's like, it's my thing, this is my time. And I just love that it's something like, I spend a lot of time with my children, but running is completely they're not involved in that, you know, it's my thing. And I feel like I got my confidence back a bit from running. Sometimes I feel like once you've had kids, I feel like I lost my personality a bit. Like I used to be a lot more outgoing when I was younger, and it's probably because I did have a different lifestyle. You know, you're out drinking with your mates, and then once all that went away and I'd had my children, I feel like I'd didn't really know who I was anymore, because I wasn't the Katherine who went out partying anymore, and then I just wasn't really part of anything. But then, yeah, joining a club, I feel like just gave me my confidence back. You make friends. It's always a laugh. Like, I don't think there's ever a time when you turn up at training and you don't have a conversation that makes you laugh. It's just always fun, at the same time as working really hard and getting that amazing feeling you get after it. And I do feel like I feel so loyal to Chorlton since I've joined them, because I feel like since I joined, everyone's been so nice to me. It's just, everybody's nice. Runners are nice people, you know, and you just feel like you've made mates at running. So yeah, I just enjoy being part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I think community part of it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I know all you guys through running, and everyone does, don't they? You got park runs and races and club and everything. It's just a massive part of your life, isn't it? Yeah. A good part as well. And you also said before that you're personal trainer. Yeah. So how does being a personal trainer help you running, or does it? Does it help you understand the body a bit more and strength and conditioning?
I mean, yeah, I've always been like big into doing my strength and conditioning work, and I always do my plyometrics and stuff. And I think doing that, and I've never been someone who runs crazy mileage. Like, even when I was training for a marathon, I've always combined running with my other training. I mean, less so. I do less of the other stuff now, but minimum once a week I'm doing weight stuff. And I notice, I mean, I don't want to jinx myself, but I don't seem to get injured very often, or if I do, the tiny niggles. And I think part of that probably is because I do prioritise and make sure that every week I'm doing my strength and conditioning. But I think the main thing with my job that I like learning is, I think sometimes the best way to learn, you can read books and read articles, but I'm actually working with women who are like going through menopause, or women who are pregnant. So I'm getting live feedback of how they're training, you know, what they're going through and what they can do and what they can't do. And that's the best way for me to learn, being around these kinds of people. So yeah. I think that's it. So
you're a PT yourself, and then you're being coached yourself by James Moles. Is that
so
right?
I have not currently, but when I've had some bigger races, I've used James to help me. So it was James who wrote my 12-week plan to do the sub-3 marathon.
Yeah.
And
that was towards the sub-3.
Yeah.
And what sort of key things do you think that James sort of highlighted to you that you perhaps weren't doing before?
I mean, the main things we talked about, when I'd done marathons before, I'd literally just winged it. don't think I'd even necessarily downloaded plans. I was just making it up, building mileage. And the key things with him were getting the marathon pace runs in, which I hadn't been doing before. Race nutrition was something else I was awful. I'd run marathons on nothing but water, and then wondered why I'd got to 20 miles, I'd got literally nothing left in the tank, because there was nothing left in the tank. So that, talking about the importance of that. But what I love with the plan with James, like, I had something every day. I knew exactly what I was meant to be doing, but once a month we were meeting as well, face to face, and talking through it all. And we talked about stuff like the race anxiety as well. So he did give ways of dealing with it, but it was just having someone there as a support. And I could feed back after runs. If a run had gone well, I could feed it back. If one hadn't, I fed it back, and he'd give me suggestions and things. So just having someone there who's sort of fighting your corner was really helpful.
Yeah. And do you think, as a PT, you'd ever think about doing running coaching yourself? Yeah,
so that's what I do want to do. So I'm currently doing my surf course, which I'll have completed in October. And I'm just starting. As part of that, you have to sort of write an 8-week plan for somebody, but it's very, very basic what they want you to do for the qualification. Anyway, there's someone I know who wants to improve his 5k time, so I've sort of done the basic plan to get through the qualification, but written him a much more detailed 8-week plan to try and get this target that he wants for his 5k. This has literally just started. He's in like week 2 now of this 8-week plan, so he's almost like my guinea pig client. And that's what I want to do, in addition to my personal training, because I know how valuable it was for me. And, I wasn't a beginner to running, and I got so much from that 12-week plan. I couldn't have done that on my own. Just having James there and that support made all the difference to me. So I want to be able to do that for other people.
Yeah, I suppose it takes a bit of pressure off in terms of coming up with something yourself as well, and wondering whether that's right or wrong and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? Yeah. Going back to that plan then, the sub 3 hour plan, aside from like drinking enough water and nutrition, what was the biggest lesson you took from that, do you think, in terms of what you put into your next marathon plan going forward?
I mean, with that plan, it was challenging, and I think it's one of those, like we've talked with training, where you can achieve so much more than you think you can. Because when I was looking at some of those weeks of things he'd put out for me, I was thinking, I can never do that. I like go out and hit those paces on runs, and James was like, no, you definitely can. Yeah. And I always did it, and I think it's someone having that belief in you, because if I'd have just tried to go out myself and try and I wouldn't have done it, but knowing that he was backing me, like, you're definitely capable of running these times. And I think you're financially invested in it as well, so that helps. I felt like everything fell into place. Like, I was so determined. For 12 weeks I like barely touched a drop of alcohol, like went to weddings and didn't drink, because I was just like, it's now or never. Like, I'm giving it my all, and I was sort of in the mentality that I want to do everything and give it one last go, with the idea that if I did everything right and I still didn't run under 3 hours, I could go, okay, it's not meant to be. I'm just not a sub 3 hour marathoner. I tried, but I wanted to get to the start line and the finish line knowing I'd done everything that I possibly could. So yeah, my diet was spot on. I was making sure I was getting all the right calories, healthy foods, even like eating beetroot every day, just like, anything I could, getting loads of sleep and sticking to the plan, so that I knew I'd given it my best shot. Yeah. So accountability sounds like it's a big thing. That accountability. And again, it was great. I couldn't do that all the time though. So once that marathon was done, I definitely needed the downtime. Like, I couldn't just be on a plan indefinitely. It wouldn't work. I think I could only do it because I knew there was an end goal, because it was intense and it was exhausting. And again, my moods probably weren't great because I stressed myself out with some of the runs that I had to do. So I did get anxious nights before. My long runs were on a Saturday, and often I wouldn't sleep on a Friday because I'd get myself so worked up that I needed to be asleep to get this long run done on the Saturday, that then I wouldn't sleep. And then again, my moods would have been affected by that because I was stressed. So yeah, it's great, but it wouldn't work as a long term. I just couldn't do that year round.
Too much pressure.
Yeah.
Did it go to plan then, the 3 hour marathon?
So that's when I did, it was. I mean, I've been so fortunate. There was Steve Curley from Chorlton was one of the 3 hour pacers, so I know him from Saturday's training, so I'd already got it in my head. I think there were 3 hour pacers. Yeah. So I want to run with Steve because I know Steve. So I'd sort of lined up on the start line, and he was sort of a good 10 metres ahead. I thought I'll give him a bit, so that even if he did cross the line bang on 3 hours, I wouldn't, or just under 2:59.59, I wouldn't miss out. I wanted to know if I crossed the line with him, I'd got those few seconds in the bag. And then caught up with him about 1 to 2 miles in, and then I basically didn't leave his shoulder for the entire rest of the race. And I wasn't even looking at my watch really. And I remember getting to 20 miles and thinking, I feel good, like this is going right for once. I've never got to 20 miles in a marathon and felt good. I'm normally just hanging on for dear life, regretting my life choices. But and then I remember getting to 21 miles. I think I probably slightly pushed on the pace at 21, and Steve was still with me, but he went, oh, that was a bit fast, that mile. And I remember thinking, I feel really good, but I was like, no, don't be silly, like slow back down. You're not bothered about getting the fastest time you can. You just needs to start with a 2. So slow down, stay with Steve, and that's how it went. It was great. Yeah.
How did you celebrate that?
No, I was just able to, because it sounds like you'd put all that effort into it and a lot of anxiety, and you must have been exhausted at the end. Were you able to enjoy that feeling?
Yeah, no, I definitely was, because I was far less exhausted than I've been on the attempts that have gone. But I mean, the big races I love because my sister's a runner, her fella's a runner. The kids always come, my mum and dad come over from Sheffield, my in-laws come and watch. So like they were all, my sister was running it actually, but everybody else was at that point in Stretford where you'd turn the right turn. So I saw them all there, finished, met my sister, she'd run, I think a 2:15 257 that year, so or 255. She'd done what she wanted. All came back, and then we all went back to our house, and like my mum had made a lasagna. You know, the kids were buzzing. We had a prosecco. It was a whole day, and the weather was really nice. So. Yeah, it was like the whole day was just a good day.
That's good. Yeah. Glad you were able to enjoy it. Yeah. It's such a build-up that, I'm glad you had a nice day.
PBs, I mean, you only do them once, don't you, really? You know what I mean? I know you keep your break potentially, but you only do that once, breaking that 3-hour barrier.
Yeah.
So you'd never forget that. So.
Yeah, because nothing now, but that's why I'm almost like, I don't know if I will. I probably will run another one, but I'm not that bothered because... if I got a 255 or 256, it's not got the same appeal to me as that, you know. And then I worried that I wouldn't want that enough. So if I did get to 15 miles and think, oh gosh, I'm getting a bit tired now, would I have the drive in me to do it? Because that did happen in that race. I remember getting to 14 and thinking, oh gosh, like I almost had a bit of a wobble, like it's happening again, I'm getting too tired. But obviously I got through it and felt better again. But I just worry that, I've done, with the marathon now, I've done what I wanted to do.
Sounds like you had much more drive than you had for that.
Yeah.
You were totally committed, weren't you?
Yeah.
Like I said, those 12 weeks and you wanted it, you were so hungry for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's it for me. We've waffled through the over to Callum.
Any questions left for you, Callum?
I've got a few.
I think we've asked all Callum's questions.
So, looking ahead, what are your main running goals for the next year or so?
The only one I've really got is I'd love to go sub 17 at 5. That's the main one for me. I feel like it's a bit like the 3. I feel like I could have done it. I've missed a few opportunities and messed up a few races where I was in good enough shape. I've set off far too fast, blown up in the first mile, and so I feel like it's something I can do. So that's the only one. And with my half again, I feel like I can definitely go faster, but I'm not. I don't know why I'm sort of not chasing that time as maybe because it's not on a set, minute or whatever like the others are. But for this summer, I would like to have one more real crack at trying to go under 17.
Where are you going to try that?
Ellesmere Port, which I'm hoping is fast enough.
It's a good call.
When's that?
Yeah.
13th of August.
Yeah, Wednesday evening, so not too far away. Yeah, because I've been doing the Sizzlers, and obviously they're not the fastest, are they? But I've run my 2 fastest Sizzler times in the last 2 Sizzlers, so I'm like, okay, so
you did your current time at Mid Cheshire, did you?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think of that course? Is that one?
I do think it's fast. I mean, it is a net downhill, isn't it, Dave? But the danger is that because it starts downhill, you set off far too fast. And I was frustrated with myself because I remember that time when I did that, I was consciously trying to slow myself down. It's like, don't go out too hard, don't go out too hard. And then I got to 1.5 miles, and a guy from the club who is faster than me just sort of sailed past me. And I was like, damn it, like if I'd have just gone a bit slower and stuck with him, maybe I could have done that. But I just need to be a bit more disciplined. I couldn't make the Mid Cheshire in May, but I'm in the one in August, so that will actually be another attempt for me.
Close to breaking 17 at the Sizzlers this year, and I don't think the conditions or the course are that quick this year.
Yeah, I've not been close really. I thought
you did about 17:15.
No, 17:39 and 17:35. So I'm a fair way off. Yeah. However, I've never been flat out on those. Like I've not crossed the line. Like I've at Mid Cheshire when I've gone for those, I've crossed the line. You know what it's like where you literally collapse, like you've given everything. Yeah. I've not done that at Sizzler, so I feel like okay, maybe I've got another 10 seconds that I could give at Sizzler if I wanted to hurt myself. But it's hard to hurt yourself that much when you know you're not going to get a PB anyway. Yeah. But that's the goal. I'd love to go under 17. Definitely.
I reckon 30 seconds difference, mate, in Sizzler and a Mid Cheshire. 30 seconds.
Especially when it's warm, though, as it has been this year. It's tough.
You reckon, Callum?
I hope not, because I'm after going close to 17. I got 17:16 at Mid Chesh and nearly died.
For me, it is anyway. whenever I've run the 2 races, and I'm in similar shape.
I've runs than I did the Sizzlers.
Yeah. Most people have quoted 30 to 40 seconds.
I remember seeing you and Hayley last year, Katie, when you'd never done a 5k before, and you both described it as vile.
Oh, it's awful, yeah. It's not a good course, is it?
It's very twisty turny, isn't it? So you lose quite a lot of momentum.
Well, I'm looking forward to doing it on
I do like it, don't get me wrong, but it's you can run fast there, and people prove that every time it goes, even in the conditions. But for me, 30 seconds faster in mid-Cheshire in the same shape, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, well, 36 seconds faster I need
I'm going to prove that wrong in a few weeks, though.
I think you might be right, actually. I think I did.
Yeah,
I've driven 1922 at mid-Cheshire, where I was more closer to 20 at all the Sale Sizzlers.
There you go. I'm going to start up my Wobbett and Race Predictor website soon.
You wouldn't know how to technically do that.
No, I wouldn't. You'd have to help me put the wires in.
So, what's one memory from your time at Chorlton that truly, like, gives a sense of belonging with Chorlton? Like, they have so many supporters out. Every time you go through Stretford on the marathon or the half, you've got so many there. But what's like one time that you just makes you think, this is why I'm at Chorlton?
For me, it would be... I've only done Welsh Castles once, and it was this particular year, which would have been 2 years ago. I was driving the minibus, and I just remember we were on a leg. We had it was beautiful weather though. I mean, it was too hot for running, but when you're not running, it was amazing. In the minibus, driving past our runners, beeping the horn, music super loud, all of us singing, and it was amazing, and you're just having such a good time. Yeah, that was it for me. But again, I think I mentioned before, the cross countries, I always get that feeling, when everybody's after the race, everyone's having a cup of tea and a bit of cake back at the tent, or people go to the pub and things. That's when I always feel sort of part of something.
Good. They always have cowbells as well.
Oh yes, yeah, we do.
So if you could give your 12-year-old self a little bit of advice, what would it be?
I don't know this one. I found this one hard because I feel like I did enjoy my running when I was younger. I guess it would just be to just keep enjoying it. Don't let any negativity come in. Just remember why you're doing it and how much you enjoy it. And yeah, that's it really.
Yeah, that's nice and simple. So we've got our quick fire questions.
Okay.
So we mentioned before, quick fire, but they can be as long as you want.
Right.
So road, trail or track?
Road.
Morning or evening workouts?
Morning.
Long intervals or tempos?
Tempos.
Hill sprints or flat sprints?
Hill sprints.
Recovery runs or rest days?
Recovery run.
Heart rate zone training or pace-based training?
Pace-based.
Cross training or focus solely on running?
I'm a bit of both, aren't I? Focus solely on running, I'd say, majority.
And competitive mindset or fun and enjoyment?
Competitive mindset, yeah.
That is, that's got to be the quick fire round we've had. Yeah. So that's all our questions. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you
It's been great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks, Katherine. Been
Thank you.
brilliant to meet you. Thanks for being so open and honest. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
All the best with the sub-17.
Yeah, I think it's on. 30 seconds in the bag at mid-Cheshire.
That's it for this episode. In our next episode, we'll be speaking to an Altrincham runner. He has PBs for 5k 17:38, 10k 36:05, half marathon 1:18:14. We'll be speaking to Darren Martin. So get those questions in for Darren in the usual ways. And remember, it's not about the destination, but the courage to run the race, even when your mind tries to hold you back.